In the Trump era, many moves look chaotic, with being one tweet or truth away from disaster, yet the final verdict will belong to history, not the current headlines. That's always been true of presidents who've made choices that seem politically suicidal in the moment, but later proved shrewd, stabilizing, or flat out indispensable. Excluding Trump, here are 8 times a president took a hard road to in history actually awarded them for the risk. Remember, Trump is now. History will judge us when it gets around to it. George Washington, Neutrality Proclamation, 1793. Saying out of the Britain-France War enraged partisans who wanted the young republic to pick a side. Critics called it a timid and unprincipled talk, and it cost Washington real political capital. By avoiding a draining foreign conflict, he bought time for U.S. institutions to set a durable norm for strategic restraint, by the way. So it was a risk that worked out for us. Thomas Jefferson, the Louisiana Purchase, 1803. Opponents blasted the deal as an unconstitutional overreach and a reckless expansion that would be impossible to govern. And even Jefferson worried he'd violate his own strict constructionism. Doubling the nation, securing New Orleans, and unlocking the continents to now seems like one of the history's greatest bargains. At the time, looked like a really big gamble. Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. Many Northerners feared it would fracture the Union cause and cost the border state loyalty. Lincoln issued it anyway, reframing the war's purpose and inviting black enlistment. It crippled Confederate labor, won European sympathy, and altered the nation's moral trajectory. Harry S. Truman, firing General MacArthur, 1951. MacArthur was a war hero, and dumping him during the Korean War looked like a political suicide. Truman chose civilian control over a popular general pushing to widen the war. The decision likely prevented a catastrophic escalation and is now a textbook defense of constitutional principles. Dwight D. Eisenhower, troops to Little Rock, 1957. Sending the 101st Airborne to enforce school desegregation sparked fierce backlash across the South. Ike knew it would damage him politically, but upheld federal law and the Supreme Court mandate. The move cemented federal authority and accelerated civil rights enforcement. Richard Nixon, opening to China. Anti-communists seethed at the idea of engaging Mao's regime, and the trip looked like an ideological flip. Nixon and Kissinger bet that triangulation would check the USSR and reshape the strategic map. The Cold War balance shifted, global trade patterns changed, and Nixon to China became shorthand for bold realignment. Gerald Ford, pardoning Nixon, 1974. The pardoning of the disgraced President Nixon torpedoed Ford's popularity and probably his 1976 election chances. He argued that the country needed closure more than retribution. Historians increasingly agree that this move was painful, but the most statesman-like way to do things, a decision that sped the national healing for us all. George H.W. Bush, breaking the No New Taxes pledge, 1990. Conservatives revolted, and the move haunted him for the election in 1992. Bush accepted a hit to cut a bipartisan deficit deal, which paired tax hikes with spending restraint, and the fiscal groundwork helped to stabilize the budget and set the stage for the 1990s expansion. But he broke his pledge when he said, read my lips, no new taxes. New taxes were born. It led to the end of his political life. And so, when you're standing on the ground, it's hard to see the forest for the trees. But from a helicopter's view above or from a postcard taken far away, you can see what's out there and grasp the patterns. Politics is lived in noise, but judged in hindsight. Today's storms won't look the same to the eyes of tomorrow. So what we have to do, let history work. We'll have to wait to see the light our grandchildren cast on this era when they explain it to their children, other than saying, boy, it was a wild time. Because it is what we're living through, but it always is a wild time as we live through it. It's what people see in the stories we tell them and how they actually view in the lens of the wild times they live in that really get a hit to history. And for us, U.S., being special with our whole presidential system, it's a even distinct nobility to have that. With a country that's only under 250 years old in a grand scheme of nations and empires that have lived, as far as we can tell, forever, we're a small little speck in what time has had to show. And the leaps and bounds and sometimes the setbacks we've had, in 249 plus years have been amazing. But we can't really tell how amazing they are until someone else tells us from the future, looking back towards our past.